All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today, me and Nick are going to be breaking down our top 10 running backs for the 2022 draft. I don't know about you, Nick, but it seems like this is probably the most quiet running back class in a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a weaker class. There's no real standout guy here. Last year we had two guys that went in the first round. I don't think we'll see any first round backs this year, but a lot of these guys have real potential to be very productive at that next level. Late round picks, maybe second, third, fourth round picks, and they could really produce in the NFL.
I do love, like you just said, the value that this draft possesses. Kicking things off at 10, Ty Chandler, 5'11", 204, dual threat guy. He might even go as high as the fourth or fifth round. I think that's pretty impressive for the 10th ranked back considering this class. He's a slasher in tight areas. He hits that extra gear when he gets to the second level. He can block very well. Again, a dual threat guy who can run, catch, block. He's good at a lot of things, but he's not great at one thing in particular. That's not bad whatsoever. He can be a very valuable back in the league. What are your thoughts on Ty Chandler?
Yeah, I absolutely love his footwork. He's very effortless with his cuts. He makes very good when he's carrying the ball. He also can return the ball. He had 47 kick returns in his career, so he kind of can pose that kind of dual threat option to be involved in the kicking game, return game as well for a team that picks him up. If he's a number two back, maybe he returns a few kicks for a team here and there. I love his speed. I love his burst. I think he's a very talented back, and he's coming in here at 10. So if we slot around fourth round pick here with the 10th back, that really says something about the value that can be found in some of these guys that are higher up above him too.
Yep, the former Tar Heel that came over from Tennessee. Moving to number 9, a guy I really like, Pierre from South Dakota State. I didn't really watch a lot of FCS ball, but South Dakota State did play a handful of FBS teams over the last couple of years, so I got a chance to witness strong play. 1,600 plus yards, 18 touchdowns last year as a runner. 7 yards per carry. He shows that on the stat sheet, and then at the combine you see him post the fastest 40 times 4.37. He's not really good in the other facets of the game, but he's a great runner, fights very hard. He's not very elusive. He doesn't break tackles that way, but he is a hard fighter. The agility is not great, but that speed is killer, man.
Yeah, I absolutely love the speed that this guy possesses. Like you say, he doesn't really break tackles as well as some other running backs. He was playing at the FCS level and looked really strong in that division. He had some good games against some FBS opponents this year. I kind of like the way he can cut back as well. He has great decision making on the field, really good vision as well. Like you said, though, a little concerned that he does not break tackles. If someone wraps around him, that's it. He's not going to get much yardage there. But I do love his speed as well. Very fast, nice burst there, and this could be a really good value pick for a team.
Yeah, Pierre, one of the only high risers really from the FCS ranks at running back. I think would be a solid addition to a roster. Look at number 8, Jerome, 5'11", 220. He's a pretty sturdy runner. The former Alabama running back, went to Cincinnati and made a name for himself. I like his ability to stay on his feet, though. His breakaway speed's also phenomenal. He's pretty patient, decisive runner. Those are really his top high-end qualities. Those are really the only ones he possesses. He's not like an overloaded back when it comes to things he can do right. But the things he does do right, he does them great, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, I love the durability with this guy. He was the featured back for Cincinnati in 2021 after transferring from Alabama. I really think he has really good potential here. His explosiveness is not the best that you see. It doesn't really have that breakaway elite speed that you're looking for, but I really think he has good versatility, can move around, very sturdy runner. I really like what he can offer to the table. And like I said, he has that durability. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on him, and that could be really strong for an NFL team.
1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns a season ago as Cincinnati made a dash for the playoffs. Very good running back. I like Jerome, what he does all around. Number 7, Dameon Pierce out of Florida. He's kind of a high riser. He's had a really good pre-draft process, 5'10", 218. He's a very physical runner. He runs between the tackles very nicely. He showcases an occasional jump cut as well. Another one of those running back who has impressive qualities. He's not overwhelming in any certain category. Other than being a physical runner, he does that very well. Dameon Pierce, a guy who can, again, especially on special teams as well, he can be an asset for a specific football team, maybe as a rotational back here in the league.
Yeah, so he kind of lacks that top end burst that you're looking for. But back to the durability thing. He didn't get a lot of the workload at Florida. He's been in the backfield for a couple of years, but he didn't really get that many touches. And like you said, he does have that kind of added effect that he can be involved in the kicking return game as well. He hits the gym a lot. He likes to work out. Very strong in that department. Very strong runner. Can break tackles when he does get in that open field area. Sort of. I think this is a very talented player. Like you said, had a very strong pre-draft process. Been climbing a lot of people's boards. I think 7's right where he belongs in this list.
The former Florida Gator is one of many SEC running backs on this list looking to make a name for themselves in the pros. Moving to number 6, one of my favorite, that's probably my favorite. 5 and 6 are my two highest rated running backs in my opinion. I think these guys have the highest potential. Number 6, though, Rachaad out of Arizona State, former JUCO product, averaged over 10 yards per carry in 2020 after coming over from the JUCO ranks. And then in 2021, because remember, Arizona State only played 4 games that year, so the numbers are kind of inflated, even though he did a lot of very good things for them in that short time. 2021 comes around, and he was the lead back. He did a lot for them, over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. He was an impressive receiver. That's probably his best trait, honestly, is being a pass catcher. He can run a lot of different routes, variety of moves as a runner, though. Great hands, straight line speed's impressive. He also tested very well, 4.48, 38-inch vertical edge and the 10.5 broad. I absolutely love Rachaad White. Are you as high on him as I am?
I'm a big fan of White, like you are as well, definitely because of his pass catching ability, and also I like his open field ability. He doesn't have the biggest burst, but he does have that second gear he can get when he's in the open field and really blow away from some defenders. I really like how he protects the ball as well. Ball security is a big thing with him, and like you said, over 1,000 yards rushing and 15 touchdowns for Arizona State this year. Really, really strong performance in the Pac-12. I like White a lot. I think he's going to continue to rise up people's boards as we get closer to the draft day. I think this is a very solid player, and he really has strong potential to be one of those 2 backs in the NFL for the next couple of years, get a lot of pass catching and be kind of a dual threat and add a lot of variety for a team's offense.
Common theme over these top 5 running backs, because James Cook out of Georgia comes in next, is they don't have a lot of tread on the tires. There's not too many of these guys who have been workhorse running backs so far, and James Cook's the next one, and I think that's why his potential is so sky high, because over those 4 years, he did not get a lot of touches. And this guy, 4.42 speed, elite acceleration. He's as shifty as they come. They love to throw him out there one-on-one, and he'll win routes. He showcased against Alabama one year. I think it was a 70-yard reception for a touchdown he snagged. He does a lot for them as a pass catcher. He's not great in pass protection, and his vision is not very good because, that kind of happens with limited experience. I'm not too worried about those 2 things. Maybe pass protection, he probably will never be great in that area. But in terms of playmakers, if you want to add talent to your roster, this matchup nightmare of a player in James Cook is the way to go.
Yeah, I absolutely love his footwork. He can really beat a player if necessary. And like you said, he only had 218 overall carries his 4-year career at Georgia, so there isn't really a lot of tread on those tires. So that definitely adds into, he has that sort of effect that he can be part of the pass game as well. I really like his, I like his balance. Like I said, his footwork is very strong. He's a bit smooth when he gets the ball as well. The vision I'm a little concerned about. I don't know if he can really see the gaps and holes that develop out there, which is a little concerning, but like you said, it may not be the biggest concern in the world. I love his footwork, like I said, and this is someone that doesn't have a whole lot of tread on the tires and can really be involved in the pass game as well and kind of be another huge dual threat, which a lot of these running backs in this class can do.
I'm not too worried about the vision. He showed before he can find that gap and hit the hole and do it in a hurry. He showed it against Alabama in the final game of the year, that no team really ran the ball well, but the one run that Georgia did have, a big-time play from Cook where he perfectly read the defense and made a play. Move to number 4, the guy that played for Alabama that lost in that game, Brian Robinson. You went with, a 5-year man at Alabama. He certainly stuck behind a lot of talented running backs, finally earned his turn. I was very happy he decided to stay and come back at Alabama. I don't think he exactly raised his draft stock the way I thought, but coming in at number 4, that's a very respectable number. What's your reasoning putting Brian over James Cook?
So I love Brian Robinson's sort of that little personality he has. He was Tuscaloosa born and raised, and he went to Alabama, sat here behind a bunch of talented running backs, and then came in this year and had a decent season. Over 1,000 yards rushing. Especially I look at the tape from the Ole Miss game, 170 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns. It's very impressive. I like his vision. I like that he can carry the ball. He's a very physical runner. He's going to break tackles if necessary. I like Brian Robinson a lot. I think the character that he has is I think NFL teams really value that in the locker room. I think that's sort of those intangibles that you can't really find on a stat sheet that he has, and I think it just puts him a little bit over James Cook for me. But they're 4 and 4A for me. They're very close, but I just take Robinson a little bit because that character, and I think he just has a little bit more power and can break tackles a little bit better.
Yeah, he runs behind his pads very well. He's a very patient runner. The vision isn't great, but it's respectable. Along with his acceleration, it's not terrible, but I can deal with it. He also has some pretty impressive moves in space, though, for being 6'2", 225, and of course that strength you talk about. He's a downhill runner, but I think he's a little more shiftier than people think with his size. I'm okay with Robinson ahead of Cook, even though him and White, I think, are my 2 favorite backs by far. You don't have to be a shifty, elite athlete to be a good running back in this league. And I think that's why number 4 is a good spot for Robinson. Put him in the right situation. He'll certainly turn out some production for you. Moving to number 3, Kenneth Walker. He transferred over from Wake Forest and turned in an elite season. Won the Doak Walker Award. He was in the Heisman running there for a bit. 5'10", 210. He's a physical guy. The lower body strength is highly impressive. So is his motor. He's always turning the wheels. Mixed with that short area burst. He just seems like some of these qualities he has just kind of seem to be the perfect, selection of things when it comes to Walker.
Yeah, I absolutely love, he comes over from Wake Forest, like you said, has a great year at Michigan State, but he was only the feature back for 1 year, so he doesn't have a whole lot of tread on his tires. I absolutely love his home run ability. He can really burst and blow away. You saw this in the Michigan game last season. He can really blow away from some guys and carry the ball for significant yards in these plays. I absolutely love that he can do that. His explosiveness is fantastic. He has the open field, like you said, 58 yards in a carry against Michigan, 94 yards in a carry against Rutgers, 75 yards in a carry against Northwestern. These are very strong attributes. He has a lot of speed there, can burst away from defenders. I love his contact balance. He's not going to fall over easy. Very strong running back. Like you said, I like the size here with Kenneth Walker. I think this is a great pick for a team that slots in maybe late second round, early third round. They're going to get great value out of that.
I wouldn't say he's been used a good bit. At Wake Forest, he had over 200 plus carries. He had 260 plus this year, so he does have a little bit more tread than you would think. But he wasn't the featured back at Wake Forest, so it's a respectable comment. He's not really much of an asset in pass protection or as a pass catcher. In terms of a pure runner, the sky is the limit, I think, for Kenneth Walker. I'm glad he had that big outbreak last year. He was such a tough matchup for every team they faced. And moving to number 2, Isaiah Spiller, 6'1", 215 off Texas A&M. This guy is a physical runner. He's more of a north-south runner. Doesn't make a lot of plays on the edge, but talk about patience, vision, along with the size. I think he moves very well for how big he is. Spiller at 2, I'm kind of iffy on it because he needs to get stronger and he's pretty stiff at redirecting, but he's kind of a bulldozer despite only being 215.
Yeah, I really like his size here, and I look back at the game against Florida in 2020. I really impressed by his performance in that game. Absolutely dominated. I expected a little bit more out of him during 2021. He didn't really live up to the expectations I was hoping, but he also had a decent game against Alabama in 2021 when they beat Alabama and Texas A&M. I like Spiller a lot. I think, he, like you said, he's more of a north-south runner, doesn't really hit the sidelines very well, but I think he can really develop if he hits the gym a little bit more, gets that, builds a little more strength here, and he has that durability. I like it. He's not really explosive, but he does have some good speed. And not very versatile, but I think he's a very solid back, and he can carry the load for a team.
Yeah, and looking at number 1, Breece Hall from Iowa State, I think this just showcases how up in the air the running back class is, because remember the Draft Network, I'm pretty sure they have him ranked 100th overall, and I think he was like their 3rd or 4th, probably worse, rated back. I don't know how you could say that about Breece Hall, though. He's a phenomenal one-cut runner. The vision is terrific. Great burst, runs with authority, kind of like David Montgomery did as well. These guys at Iowa State really coach up their running backs. Really good size. He's not very shifty, and he was a long-time workhorse, back-to-back Big 12 Player of the Year on offense, but he tested very well with a 4.39, 40-inch vertical, 10.6 broad. That was all among the best out of the running backs. I don't see how anyone could not have Breece Hall as their top-ranked running back. Could you?
He's definitely the top-ranked running back in this class for me. I really love the way he tested. I guess maybe some people are concerned with durability questions. He had 4,000 yards over 3 years at Iowa State and carried the bulk of the load for the Cyclones of the past 2 seasons. But I really like the speed he has, like you said. I really like he can really run through some guys. A very talented player, and I love his combine stats. Tested very well. He's by far the best running back in this class for me. The fact that they ranked him in the hundreds overall, I think it's just a little disrespectful to the guy. Very, very elusive. I like the way he can make cuts on the field. I like Breece Hall a lot. I think he's a very talented player, and he definitely is the number 1 back in this class for me.
Yeah, 800 touches rather in 3 years. That's a pretty concerning number. That is a lot. A guy like James Cook, we mentioned earlier, has 200 or so. That is a lot of carries, a lot of touches, a lot of beatenness on his body. That might be the only reason I think that they're lowering him down. But maybe if you get him in the right situation, that might not be too concerning. Overall, though, this running back class, I think it's solid. I think you'll have some really good running backs here. My personal opinion on running backs is I'm never high on them. I don't think you should probably wait to pick on them in the 1st or 2nd round, because you can get guys in these later rounds like a Dameon Pierce or Rachaad White who can turn in great production for their value. Overall, who do you think is your favorite running back in this class? Already talked about the 2 versatile Power 5 backs in Cook and White. Who's your favorite?
I'm going to go with Hall as my favorite in this back. I really like the tape he has at Iowa State. He really put a lot of performance in here. I think he's a very strong running back, and I think he has potential to be very strong in the NFL. It's just, like I said, people must be concerned with the touches. Like you said, over 800 in his career, 4,000 yards on the ground for Iowa State. I'm a little concerned about his pass-catching ability, but I think he's my favorite back in this class just because that potential is there for him to really dominate the next level. Team gets him in the late 2nd round. That's going to be a really great pick for them.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap everything up for today's episode, guys. Pretty interesting class. Not great, not bad either. We'll see what happens on draft weekend. I'm very interested to see where these guys go, though, because a lot of potential, I think, in this class. It's going to wrap everything up. Nick, as always, appreciate you joining me.
Thank you so much.
You guys, take care.